And lines are closing at 20 minutes past 4 today. You got to be over 18 and you're playing for €1,000. Oh God, listen to that sound. This is Tinnitus Awareness Week, and if you're one of the estimated 45,000 people in Ireland who suffers from tinnitus, then the chances are you're hearing one or all of these sounds, which are pretty horrendous. And I can tell you I know all about it because I've suffered with tinnitus for about 16 years in my left ear. Humming, roaring, banging, clicking, pounding, hissing, buzzing, whistling, ringing. The list goes on and on. Tinnitus sufferers like me know that these noises are all in our heads with no external source, which means it's a frustrating condition to have, and up until recently no one really knew why these noises occur. Well, the answer and the solution may well have been found here in Ireland. We've been following the work of Dr. Ross O'Neill, founder and CEO of Mute Button, since he first appeared on The Mooney Show 3 years ago, February 2010. My goodness. Ross has a degree in electronic engineering, a postgraduate degree in biomedical engineering, and a PhD in sensory substitution. And when he first appeared on the show, he told us of the Mute Button device he had invented to retrain the brain to cancel out the tinnitus noise. It was early days back then for this new technology, so we told Ross to keep up the good work, keep us posted of any Mute Button news. And here he is. Ross, happy Tinnitus Awareness Week, should I dare say it? You don't have tinnitus yourself, do you?
I don't. I sometimes get it intermittently.
As a lot of people do.
Yeah, but it goes away, thank God.
So who in your family does?
Well, actually, the most recent, or well, the second most recent addition to our family, my daughter Cara, was born with profound hearing loss in one ear, and she sometimes complains of noises in that ear. Now, she hasn't been formally diagnosed, but we're primarily looking at hearing loss related tinnitus, so we suspect that's what it might be, you know.
Can you explain for the untrained ear listening what exactly tinnitus is? Because I'm still not sure what it is. I know I have the blooming thing, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, well, the term tinnitus is basically at this stage is kind of like a blanket term given to a set of symptoms that can arise from one of a number of causes, ranging from kind of what I would call compressive issues, which could be some kind of vascular issue, a vein pressing on a nerve, or maybe after a head or neck injury you could have swelling that's compressing a nerve. Or right up to kind of more serious kind of compressive things, which it would be a tumour possibly. You know, they're quite rare now, but they're very serious. And you mentioned that you have it in one ear.
Yeah.
So unilateral tinnitus like that would be, I mean, the minute you go into a hospital and someone looks at you with that, you would be a candidate straight away for an MRI scan to make sure that it's not. Yeah.
So that's nothing over the years.
Yeah, well, that's
16 years now.
Yeah. So that's essentially to rule out a tumour. But the most common cause of tinnitus is hearing loss, either age-related hearing loss or occupational-related tinnitus or hearing loss, and basically what happens there is that there is a natural phenomenon in our brain called neuroplasticity, and that's the ability of the brain to wire and rewire itself according to the sensory information it gets about the world around us. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a great thing in that it allows us to sense, to understand, and to adapt to our environment and successfully interact and navigate it. But there are instances where it turns against us. These situations normally occur when there is a loss of sensory information. We've all heard the expression that nature abhors a vacuum. Mm-hmm. Well, the brain abhors an information vacuum. It demands information. And if it gets information through the senses, and if you've got a sensory loss due to maybe a hearing loss or potentially losing a limb or something like that, the brain, basically neuroplasticity, goes on the rampage trying to compensate for that loss of information. And it basically gives rise to these illusory perceptions, things that aren't there, like imaginary sound or maybe a phantom pain or something like that. Phantom limb. That's why
lose limbs think they still have them.
Exactly, and that's that phenomenon of neuroplasticity working against us. So the area that we work in is an area called neuromodulation, and neuromodulation is a new branch of medicine that is it seeks to drive functional and behavioural changes in the nervous system by applying mild electrical impulses. Now, and basically it drives this process. It's quite an elegant solution for conditions like tinnitus and phantom limb, because it seeks to drive this process of neuroplasticity, which caused the problem in the first place, and get it manipulated to reverse the neurological changes, the pathological changes that are giving rise to these illusory perceptions like the imaginary sound of tinnitus.
When you came in first, you spoke about tinnitus and you spoke about this idea you had for the mute button.
Yeah.
And then you said you were going to go on and do some trials. And then you came in again and you had trialled with 20 people, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah.
And you had great success.
Yeah.
So tell me what you did, what the mute button is, and what kind of success you had then, remind us, and where are you now a couple of years later?
Okay, so we at the last time we spoke, basically we had completed a kind of a pilot trial over 4 weeks with 20 patients, and that kind of gave us a positive indication and gave us the confidence to move forward and further develop the technology and to conduct a larger study. So our academic and clinical partners have recently completed a 16-week study with 60 patients, and the results are very positive from that. So it was a 16-week study. For the first 4 weeks, we basically tracked patients throughout the study. We sampled them every 2 weeks using both subjective measures, which measured they were psychometric questionnaires, which measured the impact, how impacted psychologically they were by the condition, and also using kind of gold standard international audiological measures that objectively measured how loud the noise was in the patient's head. So for the first 4 weeks, we brought the patients in and we kind of got them into their treatment regime, and we didn't actually give them the treatment. What we were trying to do there was to separate the subjective and objective elements. So you'd expect them to feel better because they were engaging with their doctor and stuff like that, but not to actually start getting better. After 4 weeks, we initiated the treatment, and we started to see then initially for the first 4 weeks the subjective measures improved, but the objective ones didn't. And then when we started the treatment, then both started to improve, and they continued to improve over the 12 weeks of the study. And at the end of the study, they were continuing to improve, which makes us believe that had we run the study even longer, that we would have seen even further improvements.
Which begs the question, why didn't you continue on with the study?
Yeah, well, because when you apply for a study, you have to apply for it being a set length, and you have to get kind of ethical approval for it. So you're not allowed to continue the study.
And any side effects?
No adverse side effects. Neuromodulation is an inherently safe and reversible form of treatment, and it's very patient friendly. We didn't have any negative side effects. The patient group improved as a group, so the mean value in both the tinnitus handicap inventory, which is the psychometric questionnaire, and also in the minimum masking level, which is the hearing test, they moved coherently as a group. So we saw an almost 20-point drop in their THI score, which is clinically significant, and also we saw an 11 decibel improvement in their minimum masking levels, which is probably the most exciting result that we've gotten, because it's objective and it's verifiable.
Where did you get the people from?
The people were recruited through basically I wasn't involved in the actual clinical study, so it was our academic clinical partners, NUM Maynooth and the Hermitage Hospital, who recruited the patients.
So these were people who were diagnosed as having or with tinnitus.
Yeah, so
these are people who had it. Did they have it for any set period of time? Were they people who'd had it for a couple of days and you put them on the trial, or people who had it for a few years?
They had to have clinically significant intractable tinnitus for a minimum of 6 months, I think.
Because you can get temporary tinnitus.
I know,
that's the thing. And there are things on the market that you can go onto a website. I know there was somebody in the Young Scientist a couple of years ago, some kids in one college, and they had this thing that could reverse your tinnitus, in inverted commas, by logging onto their website and paying over a small fee. I tried that. And it didn't work for me. That's not to say it wouldn't work for others, but then I don't have temporary tinnitus.
No, we stayed away from all that kind of stuff from the start. We weren't interested.
All right, so now, as best as you can, given that we're on radio, will you describe exactly what the mute button is and how you treat people with it?
Okay, so it's basically designed like a personal entertainment device, similar to an iPod. Okay, so it has a set of headphones, And through those headphones, you listen to a piece of audio that has been specially filtered according to your hearing profile as a patient. And it has one additional output, which at the end has a small array of these stimulator electrodes. And that it's like a little crescent moon, which sits in behind your the inside of your upper incisor teeth. And when you close your mouth, your tongue naturally presses against your upper incisor teeth. So it holds it in place, and then it delivers mild electrical impulses to the nerve endings in the tongue. So the idea is that the patient would use it for at least an hour a day, maybe half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. And basically the combined stimulus of the audio and the tactile stimulus over time will reverse the neurological changes that arose originally due to hearing loss and ultimately gave rise to this imaginary sound. So we reverse those neurological changes over time, over maybe, it will obviously depend on how severe your tinnitus is. It might take some people 16 weeks, it might take some people a year. But over time we reverse those neurological changes. Now, the hearing loss will still be there. Okay, so that will have to be ultimately addressed either through a hearing aid or if people are averse to using hearing aids, they may have to keep using our device. So,
but you claim that it reduces. I saw some results, reduces the tinnitus by half in most patients.
So the 11 decibel decrease is basically, decibel is kind of a complicated unit, but it constitutes 10 decibels is loosely half, or is a 10 decibel increase is a doubling of sound.
Well, that is quite significant, because I can tell you at the moment, mine seems to be affected by the atmosphere and by the weather change. And I notice that when it's very damp and cold or snowing, it shoots up, and it's very difficult, I can tell you, to deal with at times. But at any rate, I have dealt with it. So can we have a listen? We have some sounds. You might tell us what exactly we're listening to. Damien, please, if you would. Now, can you tell me what that is?
Okay, so what we did was we wanted a sound that maximised the kind of the full channel of human hearing, and then we filter it to suit your hearing loss. So the rain sounds that you hear are kind of a broad spectrum sound, and then we have the piano as well. I spoke to your researcher Katrina earlier about the emotional aspect of tinnitus. It's quite a complex condition in that it has an audiological component, a neurological component, and it also has a psychological component. And it seems to be a cascading effect, that the audiological, the hearing loss, causes the neurological changes, and the neurological then cause the psychological. So relaxation is a huge part of it. And if you were going to sit like for an hour a day using a device, you need to feel relaxed. So we chose nature sounds for both for technical reasons and for those kind of relaxation
Now, I can understand
reasons.
wearing the headphones so I can hear the sound, but what's the point of putting the little piece into your mouth? I mean, how does that help?
So basically, as I said, your brain abhors this kind of information vacuum, and it strives to pull in information from other modalities. And one of the modalities that it pulls in information from is from the cranial nerves. So and mostly from the trigeminal nerve, which is innervates the forehead, the neck, and the mouth and the tongue. So basically, we're trying to that balance is always there. But when you have hearing loss, it gets tipped in the favour of input from the tongue.
Because I can tell you, I have headphones on now, so I'm listening to those sounds nice and clearly, no other distractions of the fact that we're having a conversation. But I have one headphone on my left ear, and I wear it there because that's where I have the problem, not in my right ear, and I avoid putting any headphone ever over that because I don't want the same problem there.
Okay.
And it cancels out the noise. It cancels out the noise that I constantly hear 24 hours a day. It's gone. But as soon as I take the headphone off, back comes the noise. Can I just ask you, when is it going to be available? How will we be able to get it? And you've got 30 seconds to tell me.
Okay, so we're hoping to have it commercially available by the end of the year. You will get it under prescription from an audiologist, and it should be available through audiology clinics both here in the UK.
Cave
at the end of the year. Cave Aid.
Any idea how much?
It'll probably be in the order of a digital hearing aid, but as we
about €1,000 thereabouts.
Probably, but
okay.
as we kind of manufacture more of them and more of them are adopted, we'll be able to pass on the economies of scale.
Well, listen, the best of luck, Ross. Thank you for coming in again, and it'll be a great help to many sufferers, 40-something thousand in this country, but millions and millions worldwide. And that's the reality. As you get older, you suffer a hearing deficit, and tinnitus creeps in. So who knows? Maybe at some stage